All right, so thank you so much, Andre. That was absolutely outrageous what you did there. Hello, everybody. My name is Shai. I go by the name Mg.Biscuit in the community. And today I got you some of my most applied tricks I used to make Figma work the way I want it to. So without further ado, let's get to inline tags. So this example you're seeing here is made by Andre from Chile. And the idea is that you want to have tags to move along with your paragraph. Boom, like this. I mean, that's sick, right? And it also works on typing, of course. The only problem with this is that you can see here, he's got a main component nested inside of a union, which is a little bit hard for you to understand. So I made a little optimization on this layer hierarchy. I get rid of the main component. Now it's easier for you to understand and wrap your head around it. Of course, it has the same behavior. And this is available in the community for you to download. It's very portable. Next, let's talk about Flexwrap. So if you know CSS, this will replicate the exact behavior, which is that if the items doesn't have enough horizontal space in its container, it'll get dropped to the next line like this. So, and it also works live as you are typing, of course. And this is just crazy. Yeah. And all right, follow some community for you to check out. It's not very hard. All right, so I've got a big one coming up for you. It's called Layerblock. Now for Layerblock, this is a technique I use very heavily at work. So the idea is that when you are having instances that are nested inside of other instances, as you can see here, and you want to modify the layer structure inside of the instance without having to detach the parenting instance. Well, how can you do that? Normally you cannot. Well, since I'm using a layer block, I can do that. You see, I can modify the layout however I want, and I can drop and replace any instance with my own liking. So for example, if I want to have 5 vertical blocks, I can have that. So besides, I don't know if you've noticed that as my tags are changing, this donut chart right here is responding, and it is actually resizing in accordance to its own original aspect ratio. Now, this is a very recent technique that I found, which will come in handy if you're making a data visualization screen like this one. Let's say instead of this kind of behavior, you will want the donut chart to remain in its own 1:1 aspect ratio. So let's say if I want to replace this portion with the donut chart, I can do that. You can see here the container is not exactly a 1:1 ratio, but the donut chart, regardless, is retaining in its original aspect ratio. And as I duplicate more of it, it is getting smaller, but still maintaining its original aspect ratio. Now, these are not images. These are actually working components that I can change live. See, yeah, this is mind-blowing, guys, once I discovered this. Now, next up, we have a very interesting little technique called bidirectional hugging. It's quite interesting, and it is very cute. The idea is that when you want to have items nested inside of a auto layout frame to fill on its content, to fill on its container, I'm sorry, and while having the container hugging on the content, as you can see, it's not going to work. Why? Because the mechanism is simply counteracting each other. What if that's something you really want to happen? Well, that's when you got to think outside of the box. So right now, I'm going to drag the content outside of the container and nest it inside of a new container, and set it to fill container, and then drag it back to the old container. And voila! You see, it's filling the container on all sides, and the container is hugging it. So this is bidirectional hugging. Well, how is it useful in practice? Here's a drop-down menu I've made a year ago, and each item inside of here you can see is filling the container, while the container as a whole is hugging on its content. So the behavior you will get with this is that if the item is getting longer, other items will follow. You see, and because they're filling the container, of course, and if the container is stretching, all the items will still follow. So this is very useful on a menu and also on a let's say a table column. Yeah, please check it out. Everything is in the community file. And last but not least, we've made a plugin called World Clock while preparing for config. So this one is gonna come in handy if your team is not located in the same spot on the globe and you still want to know what's the exact time of my teammates. So yeah, this is very useful. And after all, the most valuable resource you can have as a designer is to have a bunch of like-minded people urging each other forward, right? So that's about it for me. Back to you, Chudo.
Wow, thank you, Shuaiqi, Mr. Biscuit. That was amazing. And we'd like to also thank everybody for attending. Please check out our info on the config website to get the links to our Figma community profiles where we post these files if you'd like to take a close look. And yeah, find us on the community. Andre, Glab, Shuaiqi, Vitali. We're all on Slack and Twitter. Glab practically lives on the forum. And we just created, or actually Glab created a Friends of Figma group for hackers. So join that too. And yeah, we encourage you to share your ideas, your problems, your solutions, and who knows, you may meet people who you'll end up presenting together at Config. So yeah, we'll pass it back to Anthony and Krista. Thank you again.